Theodore. He's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. Pushing and a pulling in the great big harbor, in the great big world is so much fun. So many brand new things to discover. Waking with the sun, gotta get the job done. Oh, Theodore and Emily, Theodore, Hank and George, and the Harbourmaster too.
Come look at this. Look here. You see this? This is my old uniform from back in the days when I was captain of my own ship. Ooh, I love this uniform. I'm going to try it on right now. Fantastic. Oh, my goodness. Doesn't seem to fit me anymore. Maybe I got a little bigger over the years, huh? Maybe if I try pushing and squeezing, that'll do it. No, pushing and squeezing is not going to do it. You know, Hank could have told me about that. Yeah, you see, Hank felt like everyone in the Big Harbor was pushing and squeezing him. This was just the other day. Now, he was very upset about that. But then, something magical happened. Let me tell you about it. It was a big, bright, beautiful summer day in the Big Harbor. All the tugs were still asleep. All except for Hank. Hank was up early and almost bursting his bumpers with excitement over all the wonderful things he wanted to do today. He felt happier than happy. Theodore was up now. "Theodore! Theodore!" called Hank, and he nuzzled him a little just to make him extra awake. "Do you want to see who can be first to the oil pumps?" "No, Hank," replied Theodore. I'm still sleepy." "Oh," replied Hank. "Oh, I'm sorry, Theodore." Well, George was up because his engines were already rumbling. Hank hurried over to George. "George! George!" he shouted. "George, guess what? The work meeting doesn't start for 9 whole minutes. Do you want to visit Blue Nose with me?"
"Hank, your anchor is dangling again,"
rumbled George. "Oops," said Hank. I thought I tucked it in, but do you want to visit Blue Nose with me?" "No," replied George. Well, Hank floated back to his dock to wait for the dispatcher to begin the morning work meeting. Maybe, thought Hank, the dispatcher will have a really great job for me today. "We have a big oil tanker arriving soon," said the dispatcher. "Theodore, Emily, and George, proceed to the harbor entrance." Now, Hank thought that bringing in an oil tanker would be lots of fun. "Oh, can I help too?" he said. The dispatcher turned to Hank. "No, Hank," he said. "But I do have a job for you. Bonavista barge is a load of bumpers. I would like you to take her around the harbor and replace the broken bumpers on the docks. That is all." Well, replacing broken old bumpers wasn't the kind of job Hank had been hoping for, but Hank set off with his sunniest smile. Well, maybe his second sunniest smile. As Hank went to get Bonavista barge, he felt the sunshine on his smokestack and the warm water tickle his hull. "I bet the rest of the day will be greater than great," he said to himself. Just then, Hank saw Theodore floating along with his serious safety patrol face. "Theodore! Theodore!" Hank called. "Yes, Hank?" Theodore said. "What is it?" "Do you want to race to Bonavista barge?" said Hank. "No, Hank," replied Theodore. "I'm very busy now." And with that, Theodore went on his way. No. To Hank, it seemed like that was all anybody had been saying to him ever since he woke up. Hank floated there, alone in the middle of the busy harbor. All of a sudden, sunshine didn't seem so bright. The water not quite as warm. But then, just as suddenly, Hank smiled again. "I bet Bonavista barge will want to do things I want to do." Sure enough, Bonavista was waiting with a big load of bumpers when Hank came hurrying along. In no time at all, Hank tied his tow line onto Bonavista and began to pull. "Bonavista! Bonavista!" said Hank. "Would you like me to take you the long way around today? That way we can see lots of things." "No, Hank," replied Bonavista. "I'm hot, and these bumpers are heavy. Let's just get our work done." Hank couldn't believe his ears. A barge had said no to him. Hank could feel all the no's everyone had said to him building up inside like hot steam in a kettle. "It's not fair," he shouted to the whole harbor. "No one wants to do what I want to do. Well, I don't want to move dumb old bumpers, and I don't want to work today, and I don't even want to be a tugboat anymore." Now, all the other tugboats who were heading off to work heard Hank blow his stack, and they couldn't believe it. "I've never seen Hank lose his temper before," said George. "What's the matter with him?" said Emily. "I'll find out," said Theodore, and he set off right away to talk to his friend. "Hank," called Theodore, "why did you yell like that? What's the matter?" "Nothing," replied Hank quietly. "I just want to be by myself." "Are you sure that's what you want?" Theodore said. But Hank just stared at his anchor. This wasn't like Hank at all. Theodore returned to the other tugboats. "Hank won't tell me what's the matter," he said, worried.
I'll find out what's the matter with Hank,
said George in his biggest voice. "I'll go too," said Fodak. Hank was just beginning to replace broken bumpers when George and Fodak rumbled up.
There seem to be plenty of broken bumpers to replace today,
said Fodak thoughtfully. Hank didn't answer.
So,
Fodak went on,
everything shipshape. Your oil's not overheating, is it?
No, replied Hank.
Well, good. That's good, said Fodak. Does your hull hurt? Maybe there are barnacles in your bilge water.
I don't think so, said Hank.
Hank,
said George, who was beginning to lose his patience.
Why did you shout like that in the middle of the harbor? What is the matter with you?
Nothing, replied Hank. I just want to be by myself.
Well,
grumbled George, who really didn't know what else to say.
Just do your best.
And with that, George and Fodak turned and headed back to the other tugboats.
Hank wants to be by himself,
announced George.
Heat rash and barnacles, most likely,
added Fodak. Theodore gazed out towards Hank. Hank never wants to be by himself, he said. Theodore was getting more and more worried about his friend. I'll go talk to him after we've finished work, said Emily, trying to be helpful. Just as Hank finished replacing broken bumpers, Emily appeared. I'm finished work too, said Emily. Would you like to come with me to visit some of my favorite places around the harbor? Okay, said Hank, but he didn't really sound too excited. Hank, are you upset about something? Said Emily. Oh, I don't know, replied Hank. Did someone make you angry? Asked Emily. This time Hank didn't say anything. Look, said Emily suddenly. There's Bedford Bowie. Would you like to race me to him? Oh, you go ahead, Emily, said Hank quietly. I can't race by myself, Emily frowned. She was beginning to lose her patience with Hank. Hank, she said finally, what is the matter with you today? Oh, I just want to be by myself, Emily, said Hank. Then be by yourself, replied Emily. Well, she didn't mean to sound angry with Hank. She was really upset at herself for not being able to make him feel better. Hank watched Emily sail off. He knew he kept saying he wanted to be by himself, but somehow it didn't make him feel very good when Emily left. In fact, it made him feel even worse.
A little while later, the tugs returned to the great ocean dock. George was just puffing up some smoke and rumbling his engines to begin telling about one of his adventures when Foduck interrupted him. "It seems," said Foduck, "kind of quiet around here today." The other tugs agreed. It was as if something was missing. "Hank's not here," said Emily suddenly. "You're right," said George. "Did you talk to Hank, Emily?" said Theodore. "I tried," answered Emily. "But he just wanted to be by himself." "Something is definitely bothering Hank," Theodore said. And the other tugboats agreed. "But what can we do?" said Emily. "We've tried everything to cheer him up." Theodore noticed the tugboats had all moved closer to each other, the way they always did whenever they were talking about something really important. And suddenly, he had an idea. "I know something we could try," said Theodore slowly. A little while later, Theodore slowly floated out to the sandy beach. He knew that that was Hank's special quiet place. And sure enough, when Theodore peeked around the bend, he saw Hank just floating quietly by himself along the beach. "Hi, Hank," he called. "Oh, hi, Theodore," replied Hank in a soft voice. "You're having a bad day, huh, Hank?" said Theodore after a moment. "I'm having a really bad day, Theodore," said Hank. "I've an idea," said Theodore. And Hank said nothing. "I think you might really like this idea," continued Theodore. "We need to go over there," said Theodore. "Over there?" said Hank. The two tugs floated slowly around the bend. And then Hank saw all the other tugboats, and they were smiling at him. Hank was very surprised. "Hi, everybody," he said. "What are you all doing here?" "We're going to give you a tug hug," said Theodore. "A tug hug?" said Hank. "What's that?" "Well," replied Theodore, "it goes like this." The other tugboats all formed a circle around Hank. And then moved really, really close to him until their bumpers were all nuzzling together. "This is a tug hug," said Theodore. Well, Hank began to giggle. "I really like tug hugs," he said. And everyone began to laugh and toot their whistles with glee. And just like a dark cloud blowing away and the sun coming out again, Hank felt just the way he'd felt when he'd woken up that morning. Happier than happy. "Thank you, Theodore," said Hank. "I feel much better now." "I do too, Hank," replied Theodore. "I do too." "We all do," said the others. You know, it really was almost magical, the way that a gentle hug made Hank feel so much better. Hank found out that even though nobody wanted to do the things that he wanted to do that day, his friends still loved him. You know, Hank's story has given me an idea. I think if you're really, really gentle, why, things just fit like magic. Just as snug as a tug hug. Well, thanks for visiting us here in the Big Harbor, and we'll see you all again next time. Bye.
Theodore, he's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore and Emily, Foduck, Hank and George and the Harbourmaster too.